So what I thought we'd do today is we're going to make a page, only this time we're only going to make the skeleton of the page. And what I'm going to do is set the challenge for you to decorate it. And then if you want to, and this is completely up to you, you can put your decorated pages up on Crafty Turn Crafters. So we're going to build the skeleton, but then it's for you to decide how to decorate it with your own papers, etc. So I will show you a partially decorated one. It would have been a fully decorated one, but my daughter FaceTimed with me this morning and I just got too busy talking to her. Good morning, Debbie. Good morning. Excuse me. So I was chatting away to her and I suddenly realised that time had moved on. So although all the papers are on, I haven't finished doing. There we go. So this is the page we're going to make today, and I'm sort of calling this Hidden Flaps. So the first page comes up, it's attached by a magnet. You could put a little fastener on there, not a little fastener, a little lifty tab thing on there if you wanted to. And then you've got this. Now this whole thing lifts this way and you've got some flaps in there. But also, if you pull this down, there's a magnet there, this comes up and you've got some flaps in there. So you've got the flap holding everything in place, a flap coming down, and then that comes down and you've got some flaps coming out like that. There we go. So that's how it goes together. So what I thought today was I'd work from scratch. So we're going to cut the whole thing out from scratch. We're going to score it. We're going to put it together, but that's as far as we're going to go. And then it's going to be up to you how you decorate it. Okay, so let me move this out of the way. And let me bring in my cutter. Okay, so I'm going to go quite slowly with the page sizes so that you've got the chance to write it down if you want to. I haven't yet done a cutting and scoring guide for this book. I will do, but you know what I'm like. I say I will do and it might take quite a while. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut two pieces identically. And these are going to be the top flaps. So that's going to be that one. Hang on, no. That's going to be this one and this one. The reason I've called them top flaps, and I'll change that, is that originally I was going to do it that way up and I was only going to put a small flap there. But then I thought, no, I can make use of the magnets in a better way. So what we're going to do first is we're going to create these two. So perhaps we should call these the inner flaps. So the inner hidden flaps. So we're going to create those first. Let me just change that on there. So these are going to be the hidden inner flaps. If I do that now, it will remind me when I come to write. Okay. So we want two of these and they measure 7 by 8 3/8. And when I looked, I can't quite get 8 3/8. It's just that little bit too small. So it's going to be 8 3/8 in this direction. So 8 3/8. Hang on to that bit. By 7. So 8 3/8 by 7. And then you need 2 of those. Let me get another piece of card. So 8 3/8. And that's 7 3/8. It wouldn't be me if I didn't get something wrong straight away, would it? So 8 3/8. I was thinking that bit I've cut off looks different. 8 3/8 by 7. I will be able to use that other piece of card. Okay, so let me just move my scraps out of the way. And then we're going to score these. I'm going to use my scoreboard. You can use the scorer on there, but I always prefer to use my scoreboard. And we're going to score them landscape, so the longer bit at the top, so your 8 3/8 at the top, and we're going to score them at 1/2 inch. So we're just going to score those at 1/2 inch, so that's that one. And then this one the same, landscape, 8 3/8 at the top, score at 1/2 inch. And then because I don't want to forget what's what, thank you, Vicky. Yes, I enjoyed making this page, I have to admit. And as I was designing it and making it, I kept changing the way it was going to go. So I'm happy with the finished result. So this is a hidden inner flap. And I'm going to call this one 1. And this is a hidden inner flap. And I'm going to call this one 2. And what I'm going to mark on here is the size they will be when they are folded, so that you know what size paper. So they're going to be 7 that way by 7 and 3/8, 7 and 7/8. So 7 by 7 and 7/8. Okay, so 8 3/8, take off 4/8 is 7 and 7/8. And I'm going to mark the back as well, 7 by 7 and 7/8. And the same on this one, 7 by 7 and 7/8, 7 by 7 and 7/8. So those are your 2 inner flaps done. So we're going to do the small overflap. I'm hoping that that piece I cut off incorrectly is okay. It is. So your small overflap, so that's this piece here. Okay, you're going to cut at 4 by 4.5. By 4.5. And then you're going to score that landscape again. So 4.5 at the top, and you're going to score that one. Should have just left it down. It is down at 1/2 inch. So that's your overflap. So I'm going to write overflap. And when you take off that 1/2 inch, it's 4 by 4. And I'm going to write 4 by 4 on the back. Okay. And then you want 2 side flaps. So these measure 7.5. Normally I would cut everything and score everything, but I want to give you time to write things down before we move on to the next bit. So 7.5, and they are 4 and 7/8. So 4 and 7/8, 4 and 7/8. Now, if you made this book at Crafterton Crafters at Meeting Point House, the measurements are slightly different because I made the mistake of making the pages 8 by 8.5, and they should have been 7 and 7/8. But hey ho, we can talk about that tomorrow. So these are your side flaps, and you're going to score these portrait. So the paper is portrait on the scoreboard, the short side at the top, and again you're just going to score them at 1/2 inch. I'm going to do both of them at 1/2 inch. So we're just going to label these side flaps. So they are, where are we? 7.5 by 4 7/16. So we take, oh my goodness, my brain. So, 16/16 is the same as, no, my brain doesn't work. So we want to take off what's 1/4 inch in 16ths. Sorry, it was 1/2 inch in 16ths. So it's going to be 8/16, and we've got 7/16. Great. So it's going to be 3 15/16. I mean, if it goes to 4, I don't think that's the end of the world, do you? Okay, so side flap, 7.5 by just under 4, 7.5 by 3 15/16. I can't think that's going to make a huge difference. So side flap, there was obviously a reason why I did it at that size, but for the life of me, I can't think that that's going to make a huge difference. Probably find it does. So 7.5 by 3 15/16. I think it's to do with the fact of joining them together. Okay. And then one last one is the top flap. So that's this one. Okay. And this is going to be 8 by 7 3/4. So let me just move everything out of the way. In my usual way, I've now got a terrible mess. So 8 by 7 3/4. Seven and 3/4. Move that out of the way now. And this is going to be scored again at landscape. So your 8 is at the top. There's not a lot of difference in it, but you want the 8 at the top. And you're going to score at 1/2 inch. And 3/4 inch. Okay, so we're going slightly wider on our parallels because it actually has quite a lot to go over the top of. So I've gone for 1/4 inch there this time. Okay. So those are all my pieces. So let me write on this top flap, which is, so that's the 8, and we're taking off 3/4. So that's going to be 7.25 by 7 3/4. Okay, so 7.25 by 7 3/4. Okay, so that's all our bits. So I'll go through one time more and give you the measurements. So you've got your 2 hidden inner flaps, and they start off at 7 by 8 3/8, scored at 1/2 inch to make 7 by 7 7/8, and you want 2 of those. Your small over flap is 4 by 4.5, scored at 1/2 inch to make 4x4 for paper covering. 2 side flaps at 7.5 by 7 7/16, and you then score 1/2 inch to make 7.5 by 3 15/16 ish. And sorry, we're buffering today. I think it's to do with the weather. Your top flap is 8 by 7 3/4 with a score at 1/2 and 3/4, which makes it 7.25 by 7 3/4 for decorating. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to mitre all our corners. So where you've got the double parallel, you only mitre down to the first line. All the others are quite simple. So we're just going to mitre off all the corners like so. And that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. I'll just get rid of all those bits. That's away. And then we're going to go ahead and fold. Now, my advice is you cannot burnish too much. Okay, because you want it all to lie flat and neat, you really do need to burnish. So I'll get my burnishing tool out, and I'm going to go along there and along there, and I'm using just an edge of my burnishing tool to really get a tight burnish. Now, I'm not going to do a huge amount because I haven't got time, but you can burnish away for as long as you feel like it. Okay, so just keep burnishing. Just keep burnishing. And this one. And with this one, okay, I'm also, and again, this is absolutely optional, but if I don't do it now, I forget. I'm going to round the corners on this over flap, just to neaten it off. You can round the corners of any of them or as many as you want. And then I'm going to, okay, I'm not taking quite as much care as I would do normally. I would normally, because of the thickness of the card, I would normally be bouncing it and doing it gently, but I really just need to do all of these, and I'm not burnishing it as much as I would normally either. Okay, so we're just going to burnish that. And the last one, you've got 2, so this one I am going to bounce. So just bounce them into position. It's not as bad because it's 1/4 inch rather than an 1/8 inch, but do just bounce them into position first and go from the middle out. So middle out, middle out, middle out, middle out, and then the second one, and as I say, it's nowhere near as bad because it's 1/4 inch, but just keep your burnishing tool to the edge, not over that one that you've just burnished. Okay, I'm going to go that side. Keep it tight to the edge. Okay. So those are all the pieces that you are going to need. So I'm now going to get, because I haven't got one down, a page to put them on. So let me just get the album that we're working on. So the page we made last week, and I'm going to get another of these pages and then just put that back up there, I think, out of the way. So remember, we've put arrows on these so that our two pieces that are going to go onto the spine are on the sides. And we're going to start by creating this bit here. And we're going to create it off the page first of all, I think. I'm not sure. There we go. It's going to go on the bottom. You can do it on the top. I mean, you can have something that looks like that. You can have it on the side. However you choose to do it. It'll be interesting to see the different ways. But I'm going to do it coming from the bottom up. So on my page, I want the first of my hidden inner flaps, and I'm going to put it in the centre. Now, I feel that if this wasn't absolutely centred, it would bug me. So I am going to use my centering tools. So this we know is 8 by 8. Well, in fact, no, it's 7 and 7/8, isn't it? So I'm going to mark my centre point there. Okay. And then this I know is 7. So I'm going to mark my centre point there. So 7, find 7. And I'm going to mark it, although I'm gluing it using the flap underneath, I'm going to mark it on the top. So making sure I'm absolutely centred, I'm going to mark it on the top, because it's the top that you will want to line up. So I'm going to take it right to the edge. Okay, so I'm going to put my glue. It's stuck in there, it's all gunky. Let me just get rid of the gunky bit. Okay, I'm going to put my glue onto here. So again, I'm not using very much, but what I am using, I'm really pushing in. And then I'm going to line this up using my, sorry, can't talk and do something like that. And then when I think it's centered up, I'm just going to lift it up, run my fingers along there so that I know it's level to the bottom. Put my hand underneath so that I'm holding on to that, because if you don't, it will slide. And then I'm just going to come in and burnish that securely into place. Okay, and that also gives you another opportunity to burnish the whole thing. Okay, so that one is the one that's going to come down like that. So come back to this. That one's going to come down like that. This one is going to come up. So you want to take your second hidden inner flap, and this one is going to come up. So it needs to glue to the top. So it comes up and down. So again, I'm going to find the centre points. So I'm going to find 7. So I'm going to find 7 on there and 7 on here. Okay. Now, it's not as important, because when you match them up, they are the same size, but just finding the centre point just gives you that guide. Okay, so I'm going to put some glue onto this. Like so. So onto there. like that. That's going to come up. And I'm burnishing that down. Opportunity to do another burnish. Okay, so now you want your flippy flap. Now, you know me, I always like to make as many mistakes as I can. That should have gone on first. So, it's not me if it's not got mistakes in it, is it? Does it need to go on first? Hang on, where am I? Where's my flippy flappy bit there? So that's, no, I was right. I was right. Was I right? That's the top one. Yeah, I was right. Okay. So, you're now going to find the centre point here again. So you're back now to your main page. You've got these two. Your top flap is going to come over the top of those two to hold those into position. Okay, I will just double check that. Yes, okay. So you want your centre point here. Sorry, lift it up. You want your centre point, so you're back on your main page now. So this is 7 7/8. Oh, got tied up in knots here. So 7 7/8. I tend not to take it off the ring because the minute I take it off the ring, I lose it. And then they end up going into the bin. So 7 7/8. There's my halfway mark. And this is 4. So I want the small ones. Where have I put the small ones there? They're not going to come out easily. And I want the 4. So again, I'm going to measure it on the top, find my centre point, and do that. Hello Mel, lovely to see you back with us. Hello, thank you for joining. And then I'm going to put a little bit of glue onto there. Like so. And then that is going to go lined up with the centre line, and that is going to go there, like that. Okay, now is where I think I've made a mistake, because I should have put that piece on. Hold on. No, I still haven't made a mistake. Or have I? Oops. Okay, you might have to do a second score line, or do you know, I am going mad here. I have put that on the wrong side. Yeah, I have put that on the wrong side. Sometimes I wish I could just stop and start again. I'm going to take that off. I knew I'd put that on the wrong side. Okay. That's got to go on the bottom there. But you know what I'm going to do? Yes, that's right. It doesn't have to go over the whole thing. It just has to go over that one. Yes. Okay. Ideally, it should have gone over the whole thing. Do you know, it doesn't matter how many times I practice and how much I like to think I know what I'm doing. When it comes to it, I really don't. Yeah, okay. This needs to go between these two. So you've already got a centre point there. You're going to pop some glue on this. I will go back over this in a minute. And that is going to go line up there. Now I'm right. Okay. So that is going to line up with that centre point there. So, oh, come on, Sarah. More haste, less speed. Okay, let's do that properly. Burnish that properly down. Now I remember. Okay, so you've got your main page, you've got your hidden flap stuck to your main page. Then you've got the top hidden flap stuck to the top, and you've got your 4x4 stuck to the bottom of your hidden inner flap. So you've got hidden inner flap, bottom flap. Okay. What you may find, and I'm going to have to, is that you will need to trim just a tiny bit off the top one so that that goes over. Okay. And I found that yesterday and I thought, shall I take it? No, wrong thing. Shall I take it off the measurements or leave people to take it off if they need to? And I went with the leave people to take it off if you need it. You only need to take off at the very most 1/8. So I'm just going to take 1/8 of an inch off, and now that should come over nice and neatly. Okay, it's just, it depends how measuring and cutting is, but I just needed to take 1/8 of an inch off that. So you remember then it's 7 6/8. Okay, so that's your first bit done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put the topmost flap on. Open all that up so that you're back with your main page. So let's just go over it one more time. Hidden flap 1 sticks to the main page. Hidden flap 2 sticks to hidden flap 1, and little over bit also sticks to hidden flap 1. That all then folds up. Your top flap, you're going to put your glue on to this first fold, and that is going to go on the top of your page. I really hope this is making sense. You might have to go back and watch it a few times. Okay. It doesn't matter how many times I practice it. Even though it's my own design, I still manage to get it wrong. I have to watch my own videos back half the time. So that is going to go onto there, like so. And I'm trying to do it not flat so that you can see. So I'm just making sure that's absolutely lined up. And now I'm going to have to fold it flat, put it down, and I'm going to go in there and burnish that down. So attached to your main page, you have a top flap, a hidden flap, and then attached to that hidden flap, you've got the other hidden flap and the small over flap. So the last thing you're now going to do is to put in your side flaps. Now your side flaps are smaller. The reason for that is you need plenty of space. So again, you can use your centering tools. I'm not going to for this. As long as I can see I've got roughly the same gap top and bottom, I'm going to put the first one on. So these again are going onto the main page. lovely sunny Cyprus. Oh, how lovely. Thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us. Wish I was there. It's so wet and miserable here. Shouldn't moan because it's been so dry. At least the grass is greening up now. So again, I'm running my finger along the side. Hold it in place while you open, and then run your burnishing tool. So with your second side, oh, I've gone really, oh no, they're supposed to overlap. Are they supposed to overlap? I didn't think they were. No, they're not. Why have I cut them wrong? It looks like I've cut that one wrong, doesn't it? Oh. Do you know what? One of these days I will do something correctly and I will surprise even myself. So 3 and 15/16. Yeah, I've got it wrongly. 3 and 15. No, I haven't. Well, it should be 3 and 15/16 now, so I have obviously gone wrong somewhere. So I'm going to take it to 4 and then just move it in slightly because I can't really see my measurements very well. Making sure it's straight. Okay, so that, I'm not going to get rid of that because I think I might have to cut the other one as well. So that's that one. Now where have I put the other one? Yeah, I haven't cut either of them correctly. So 3 and 7/16. This one's going to be easier. 3 and 7/16. Okay. Oh dear me. What a day. Okay. So now you should find that they will match up or almost match up. There'll be a slight gap there. I've cut slightly too much. But do you know what? In the grand scheme of things, I'm not going to bother too much about that. What I should have done, of course, was to have double checked them first before I glued one down. But there you go. You learn by your mistakes. And I certainly learned by mine. So, glue on this side. Put that there. Put that in place, and I am just going to move it out slightly. So I want it to be level there. There we go. And there's your other flap in place eventually. So hold it in place and come in and just put it down. So then you've got your 2 flaps, your hidden flaps and your top flap, and the whole thing comes together. So now we need to put some magnets on. Now, I've done this using Corkat's magnets, which are super, super, super strong. If you haven't got super, super, super strong magnets, you might have to rethink this a little bit. Okay, but I'm going to start by putting a magnet, whoops, let me just move that out of the way a bit, putting a magnet there. So that's going to be my starting point. So a little bit of tape, I'm going to go in a little bit, and where are my magnets? So I'm just going to put a magnet onto that tape. goes down like that. And I'm going to put a little bit of black tape over the top, pull it taut, don't rip it, but pull it taut, and just get out. Okay, so that's just my belt and braces. It also means that when I put the next bit of tape on, it's not going to stick. So, oh, come on. So another magnet on the top of there. So if I put the tape straight on, it would have stuck to the piece underneath. This way, you're not going to have that problem. So I just want that to stick to the magnet, not to the tape. And poke it all. I'm just going to take the carry off. Leave the sticky tape in place, make sure it's not all curled up. I'm sorry, we're really buffering today. And then that comes down, and then that's in place. And I'm going to put some tape over the top of that. Now, as I say, these magnets are super strong. So I can do this next bit. You'll need to check whether your magnets are as strong. So I'm going to pop that on there, and then I'm going to put a magnet there. So I'm going to put a third magnet right way up on top there. Another piece of tape. Being very careful this time because I don't want this to stick to the card. Take the carrier off. Make sure it's unrolled, but not sticking to the tape or to me. And then I'm going to pull that down. Okay. And when you lift it up, hopefully, that's it. You might have to prise it a little bit because the tape will want to stick to that, which is why I always use this. And then a little bit over the top of that. And I will just go over and burnish all of those afterwards. That whole thing now, whoops, sorry, now comes down, and you've got that, and then it all comes up into place. Okay, and that is as far as I'm going to go with this. So the challenge is to have a go at making this probably much better than I did, and then to decorate it. So I'm going to belt and braces and go over what I did again. Whoops. So starting with your page. So this is the page that will go into the book, the 8 and 8.5, and then folded into a page. So to the bottom of that, you are going to put the first of your hidden flaps. To the top of that hidden flap, you are then going to put the other hidden flap. To the bottom of it, you're going to put the 4x4. And those pieces then will come together. To the sides of your page, you're going to put your 2 side flaps, having cut them to the right size. And to the top, you're going to put your over page. So side flaps in, hidden flaps, top flap, and it all comes